previous classes we have studied about the that we have discussed about the also we have discussed about the algal bloom, how it is being caused. Also we have discussed about the BOD, biochemical oxygen demand. Also we have discussed, and also we have discussed about the water hyacinth, or what we say Icornia, making problem in many of the places. Today, let us see the biomagnification, biological magnification. You see the diagram of this, you can see here only one of the thing that is taken into account is DDT, of the toxic which will not be dissolved in the body. Type of substances are dangerous to the human health, and out of that one of the substances is DDT, dichloro diphenyl trichloroethane. As I told in the earlier classes, the expanded form of the DDT is dichloro diphenyl trichloroethane. And when we see how this DDT accumulation takes place in the living organisms, see when we see when it is there in the water, it is 0.000003 ppm parts per million, very least amount of DDT which is present in the water. As I move from one level to the another level, from one level to the another level, the amount of DDT increases. You can see when it comes to the top carnivore, the DDT amount of accumulation in the living organism reaches to 25 ppm. So it is one of the toxic chemical that is being deposited in the body of the living organism. This part also one of the important concept that we need to know. The next one is eutrophication. Eutrophication, in simple word, it is the natural aging of a lake by nutrient enrichment. But once again, eutrophication means it is the natural aging of a lake by nutrient enrichment. So you can observe in the diagram, the first diagram and second diagram. Nitrogen is entering, phosphorus is entering. These nutrients cause an increase in the phytoplankton. See, whenever there is raining or whenever there is a flow of water from the field the farmers used to put fertilizers, that too mainly the artificial fertilizers, whether it may be having the nitrogen, phosphate, calcium, whatever it may be having. Such type of artificial fertilizers are being put over while showing the seeds for the faster growth, healthier growth, better growth of the crops. Farmers go for the artificial fertilizers. When we put the artificial fertilizer, that is mixed up in the soil and remains over there at the crest of the soil during heavy raining, that nitrogen content is brought by the water, that phosphorus content is brought by the water, and it ultimately reaches to the lakes, rivers. At last it reaches maybe dams, reservoirs, so on, it goes up. So Wherever the stagnant water is there, wherever the reservoir is there, wherever the dams are there, at that places it is rich with the nitrogen content. When stagnant water, rich with the water, slowly what happens? Growth of the plant takes place. You can see in a young lake, water is cold and clear. With the time, streams draining into the lake introduce nutrients like nitrogen, phosphate, etc. It increases lake's fertility. Thus, plants and animals grow rapidly in such places, and organic remains are deposited on a lake bottom. So, the lake grows swallower and warmer with warm water organisms. Marsh plants take root in the shallows and fill in the original lake basin. Eventually, the lake becomes land. I repeat once again. Eventually, the lake becomes land. Now, let us take into consideration. You can observe the first diagram, this one. So, this diagram, if you see, where moving sediments from the block sunlight, sediments block the sunlight, the nitrogen content coming to the water, phosphorus content is coming to the water. This increases the nutrient. You can see this increases the nutrient inside the water body. That leads to the phytoplankton's growth. That leads to the growth of the phytoplanktons. Algae, then it results in the algal bloom. That also we have discussed. That results in the algal bloom, and that results in the formation of smaller plants. Smaller plants take up the roots at the bottom of that lake. At the bottom of that lake, it takes up the root, slowly starts appearing little more larger plants. And now you can see before the lake was like this, before the lake was like this, afterwards, once when we leave it, it will be appearing in this manner. You can see slowly what happens. The surface is being covered with the algae, the that is rich with the nitrogen content. Slowly that leads to the taking up of the new plants in that water body. Slowly the soil comes over there, pack up the place. That lake is converted into land once in a time. The shallow is being covered up with the plants, covered up with the soil, and automatically once that lake will turn into land. The lake becomes land eventually. Slowly, when we live for many months together, even it takes years together to form that one, and slowly the water, the lake becomes into land, so that water body is converted into land. This is called the eutrophication. This is one of the concept that we need to know, each of us. This is also one of the important concept. Explain eutrophication is being asked. So I repeat once again. It is the natural aging of a lake by nutrient enrichment. What are the nutrient enrichment? The nutrient enrichments are nitrogen, phosphorus, calcium, potassium. And from where these nutrients come from? These nutrients will come from the farmer's field. These nutrients come from the industries. These nutrients may be coming from the artificial fertilizers that are being used during the crop growing season. So when it rains heavily, that is brought by the water body and takes up to the lakes, takes up to the reservoir, takes up to the dams. And mainly here we have taken into example of the lake, how the lake is being converted into land. That is One of the concept that we need to know, by the process of eutrophication, the water body is being converted into land, where at that place, even when we leave it for years together, that will become into a big forest. This is one of the concept what we say eutrophication. Eutrophication means it is the process of natural aging of a lake by nutrient enrichment. The lake will become into land. This is what it is called eutrophication. You can see very clearly shown in the first diagram where mouse moving, many fishes were there. You can see fishes, sediment is here, and birds are moving on the surface of the water. Now, slowly, as the industry is taking place, depending upon the climate size of the lake and other factors, the eutrophication may span thousands of years. Eutrophication may take thousands of years. However, pollutants like effluents from the industries and homes accelerate eutrophication. Actually, natural aging of the lakes will take thousands of years, but it can make more faster. It can become much more faster because of the industrial effluent that is coming from the industries and even homes effluent that is coming even from the homes means the soap or we used for washing the clothes or the fecal matter that is thrown out of the body that will be the rich with the nutrient so that is going to the lakes. And this type of eutrophication is called cultural eutrophication, or it is also called accelerated eutrophication. You must remember, eutrophication can be speed up. It can be we can make it more faster by the cultural means, or it can be accelerated by some of us will be starting the industries at the banks of the rivers, banks of the lakes. At those places, if we start the industries, the effluent that is coming from the industries is directly released into the water body. Then water body is rich with all these things. Slowly what happens, you can observe the second diagram. Slowly the eggs, it will speed up, the eutrophication will speed up, and that will be converted into lakes. This is what is there. And sometime what will happen, slowly the natural aging of the lake takes place, and there water is being converted into land, and because of that there the forest may appear. And another type, when we it will disturb the ecosystem, is heated wastewater or thermal wastewater from the electricity generator units. Hot water is being left, eliminates organisms sensitive to high temperature. It may enhance the growth of plants and fish in extremely cold areas, but only after causing damage to the indigenous flora and fauna. Indigenous means it is local. Local species. Obviously, it will get affected the local species. That is another concept that we need to know. This is how the it will be disturbing the ecosystem or the water bodies, what we say. This is what we call as eutrophication. And with that, we conclude. And the next one, we will see the another topic, integrated wastewater treatment, that we will see in the next classes. Thank you, all of you.